Good Tuesday evening. Welcome to BCP Live. Hi, I'm Joey McWilliams. Glad to be with you again on a Tuesday night. It is enjoyable to get to find a rhythm with our BCP Live broadcast again. One night a week. I was speaking with some people last week about how when this thing got started, we did every night of the week for a couple of weeks, and then we did 5 nights a week for a little while, and it's gone down to just one night a week. The other, it was just not sustainable, not even close to sustainable. I want to use that word just because I'm going to use it a little bit later on, but that was not. It was not at all. But this one night a week, it's fun. And you know what? I look forward to these Tuesday nights. So thank you for watching. If you're watching us live here, whether it be on Facebook or YouTube, or if you're watching the replay, thanks for tuning in. I am joined tonight by Mark Mesiti-Miler with the Durant Sustainability Coalition. I've known Mark for, I guess, about 3 years now, close to that, somewhere around that realm. And listen, I appreciate what you do for Durant and for Bryan County. Really quickly, tell us, how did you get to Bryan County?
Well, I married well, Joey. I married a Sooner from Norman who's got twin sons, and they live here in Durant. They're the owners of Tadpoles Marine. And they probably didn't bring us here, but the 6 grandkids, they brought us here. So we're here being the best grandpa and grandma we can be.
Listen, I'd like to start, all my sentences with "I married well." I think that that goes a long way toward whatever success and however good looking the kids are. That was definitely the side of the gene pool that they got it from. Mark, you are with the Durant Sustainability Coalition, and I use that word sustainable. I throw that out there when I talk about the opening days, early days of BCP Live, but it's nice to throw it in there, and it means something. In speaking with you, what exactly is the Durant Sustainability Coalition? What's its mission?
Well, our mission is to educate and energize citizens in sustaining our region's environmental richness, natural resources, and beauty.
The name's changed a little bit, hasn't it? It was something else.
Originally, we had a different name. We were known as Sustainable Durant. And but we had not filed with the Secretary of State to use that name at the very beginning. We were really a truly grassroots, kind of just come up out of the ground kind of organization. And when we went to actually apply, we ran into a little problem because there was another group called Sustainable Tulsa, and they claimed that we were infringing on their name. And after sort of talking with them, and they're very nice people. I appreciate everything they're doing. But it just we just came to realize that we couldn't use that name easily. And so we thought, well, we'll just change our name.
I completely understand. Well, it has a nice little ring to it, the Durant Sustainability Coalition, DSC for short. So talk a little bit about that. What are some of the things you've done and maybe even something that you're most proud of?
Well, Joey, we have put on a bunch of different programs. So over the last, we've been around for almost 3 years now, and we've put on about 20 different programs, primarily educational programs. We've brought in some top-notch speakers, nationally recognized speakers, to talk about a variety of different topics, all focused, of course, on sustainability. But we have covered things like recycling and sustainable gardening and composting and how to can your food. We've also touched on some really important regional issues around water. We had a double header event 2 years ago around water, and last year we repeated that event, and we brought in state level representatives to talk to us about our water system and our water supply and how precious that is. Many people recognize that water is life, and water really does sustain everything that's going on here in Durant and Bryan County, and it is crucial. And we need to keep it clean. We need to keep it plentiful. We need to keep it flowing, and we recognize how important that is. So that's just a sample of a few of the things we've done.
All right, those are some of the things you have done. What are some of the things that are coming up?
Well, our big event every year, we've done this now twice. This will be our second year. Our big event coming up is the Earth Day Festival. That festival will be next Saturday, this coming Saturday, from 10 to 4 over at Carl Albert Park. It's a big thing. We'll bring 35 different groups together with their own booths and tables and their own programs to, you can walk around and be entertained and energized and educated all in the same day. And
Now,
we've also got some events coming up in May. We're doing how to grow a more sustainable park. We've partnered with the Parks and Rec Department, Brian Brewer and his crew. We'll be over at Schuler Park on Wednesday, May 15th from 5:30 to 7. And we'll be talking about, what people want to see in their parks. So we'll talk about community gardens, all those kinds of things that we keep hearing these conversations. And that's really what drives our programming is we're talking to people in the community all the time. People are wanting to know more about this or wanting to know more about that. And we go, oh, okay, we'll do a program on that. And then in the fall, we're really looking forward to a fall event. We're going to put on the first ever, at least the first ever that we know about in Bryan County. We're going to be putting on a bike rodeo. So we are partnering with the Bike Oklahoma statewide organization. We'll be giving away bikes and helmets. I'm sure we'll bring in the Durant Trails and Open Space team, the Rotary, Boys and Girls Club, the police department, the fire department, the city schools. I mean, we'll bring everybody together and put on a heck of a bike rodeo.
All right. I have to ask. I've got some of the things I want to ask you. What is a bike rodeo?
Well, we got some bucking bikes and some. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, look, that was the visual. I'm trying to work this out in my head. Mark, work with me.
We call it a bike rodeo. It's a bunch of different events that will be centered around mostly educational pieces. We'll have some bike handling classes, some bike safety school. How to use hand signals. When to use your bell. We're hoping we don't actually have anyone lined up, but we'll probably have a bike mechanic there or two, and you can bring your own bike and have your bike tuned up. They'll be ready to check your brakes and your gears and make sure everything's working properly. If you need a new tire, they'll probably throw a new tire on there for you. And we'll have a bike handling course. I think I mentioned that already. The kids love it. We were partnered with another organization up in McAllister last fall with Bike Oklahoma. And we went up there just to volunteer, and you wouldn't believe how much fun the kids have. I mean, they are having a blast learning how to handle their bicycles, and that we put them through an obstacle course. It's a ton of fun, and the grown-ups learn a few things too.
Absolutely. Okay, I just had to get that worked out. And child of the 70s, teenager of the 80s. In the 70s and 80s, I rode and used the bicycle so much. So that would have been something that I would have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed, I'm sure, and probably could have used a little help from a bike mechanic too, somewhere down the line. I know that we
Yep.
we ours had some wear and tear way back in the day. We're on BCP Live tonight here visiting with Mark Mesiti-Miler from the Durant Sustainability Coalition. Thanks to everyone for stopping by tonight, whether you're watching us live or watching this on the replay. You mentioned Earth Day, and I wanted to just make sure you talked about Saturday coming up. That is April 26th, correct?
That's
At
correct.
Park. What time again does it start?
It starts at 10. It'll kick off. We'll have some warm-up exercise to do between 10 and 11:30. We've got a top-notch exercise person here in town that will be coming out and walking us, or whoever's interested, through some yoga and some Zumba and some things to do to kind of warm you up for the big day. And then at noon, we've got our kickoff, our opening ceremony. That will be handled by the Girl Scouts. So the Girl Scouts will do an opening ceremony. They'll post the colors. And then the Choctaw Royalty will be visiting us. And they'll be doing the national anthem and the Lord's Prayer. If you've not seen them or heard them perform, this is an opportunity to come and see them. It's a very special moment in time. And they will be opening up the day. Simmons Bank will be there to give away free hot dogs and popcorn while it lasts. We don't know how many people will come. We had about 300 people come last year. We had enough hot dogs for everybody, but this year, if the weather holds, we're thinking we'll probably have double that. And then throughout the afternoon, we'll have all kinds of experts talking about things such as recycling, composting. We have a guy, an expert in reptiles. He'll be doing a live demonstration with different snakes and lizards and other kinds of reptiles. And you don't want to miss Lucille Morehouse and her bee pollinator project. She will be up on stage. She's a 15-year-old. She is so smart and so good. And you can get free seeds to, take back home and start a pollinator garden of your own. And I actually think Lucille will be president one day. She's really that good. You don't want to miss her. We'll have lots of games and giveaways. We're giving away. Lowe's has donated a landscape package. The Brick Street Hotel is giving away a night at the hotel downtown Durant. We'll be giving away a free bicycle. We'll have jugglers and chalk art contests and all kinds of free stuff. It'll be a ton of fun. Really a ton of fun.
All right. That is coming up again. That's this Saturday. Now, with the Durant Sustainability Coalition, Mark, I see the advertisements. I've been to an event or two, and I know that they're, you mentioned educational type activities that go on. And of course, some of these events at the Durant Donald W. Reynolds Library. And so you think that's definitely a place for educational events. But do you do more than that? I mean, do you go out and actively engage in the community? It would seem like that this Earth Day event is one of those. And I know I've seen you and Donna. The last time I saw you guys working on something was the extension to the sidewalk on Main Street between 3rd and 4th Avenue in Durant. So talk a little bit about maybe some of the other things you do.
Yep. We are, we called ourselves a coalition for a reason. We never do anything by ourselves. We are, like I said earlier, we are constantly listening to people in the community, and we're here to help and facilitate and make stuff happen, like the Main Street pop-up, that we worked with the Texoma Board of Realties, the Durant Main Street, and the Team Better Block, and we all came together to make that happen. It was only supposed to last a month or two. It's still there. Many of the accoutrements have disappeared over the time, but that came out of our Main Street workshop group. We did a series. We led a series of Main Street workshops with the Durant Trails and Open Space last year. We engaged about 50 people in the community. Many of them are business owners downtown and along Main Street. And at the end of that, exploration, kind of learning about what Main Street could be, we published a report, delivered that to the city for them to use, and they're planning the improvements on Main Street. So that's one of the big things we did last year. This year, we also actually launched it last year, kind of out of a tree program that we put on, Trees for Durant. We started a campaign called One Tree Makes a Difference. And we put our first tree in the ground last year at the corner of 6th and Elm, right there in the Green Spray grocery store parking lot. Many people have seen it. We have a little sign there. It just says One Tree Makes a Difference. But from that one tree, we've now planted 3 more trees in different spots along Main Street and 2nd. And we just recently received a $35,000 grant to expand that program. Wow. We applied for a hometown grant from T-Mobile. And we had 8 letters of support from different parts of the community, other organizations in the community, our coalition partners, and we won. They gave us $35,000. So we're going to be putting more trees in before the end of the year. We have to, the T-Mobile grant had a stipulation that we spent the money by the end of the year. So we're going to be putting in groups of trees with benches to sort of do a little placemaking along Main Street, 1st Avenue, and along University Boulevard. We've got the spots picked out on Main. That one will probably be done in the next month or so. First, we think we have First pretty much buttoned up. University is going to be in the fall. We haven't identified a site yet, and we still have some work to do with business owners to make sure the trees will be maintained. So those are a couple of other things we're actually doing in the community.
I like that, and I think that, and the one that I think of the most when you mention that is the one that's there in the parking lot at Green Spray, right there as you're traveling up and down and 1st Street, and I see it coming out of the parking lot when I go to Green Spray. And one of our local businesses, we like to talk about shopping local here on the Bryan County Patriot, so definitely it's something big. But I have to tell you, Mark, it looks nice. It really is. It has a classy feel to it, and looks like it's something that is done by a community that is looking to improve and look to the future. So I commend you for that. I think it's really pretty cool. So I like that a lot. You talked about a grant, and that's a big deal too. To money doesn't always just drop out of the sky, and I know you had to work for that too. It didn't just drop out of the sky. You have to put everything together to get those grants to take place for something like this. From where do you get the finances to make this go?
Well, T-Mobile provided, that's a huge amount of money for
That's
us.
the one thing, but I mean the
Yeah.
coalition as a whole, DSC.
Yeah, we rely 100% on donations from the community. So we run a very lean we run on a very lean budget. And we did last year when we did our Earth Day festival, we had about, I can't remember exactly, but somewhere around $1,000 left over after we put on that festival, which we have used and stretched as frugally as we can to fund the other stuff we do. But really, our number one biggest resource is people. We rely on volunteers, and we rely on other organizations. We are a coalition, and the other organizations that we work with, like the Durant Green Schools, they are at our events. They are pouring water and washing glasses. They are helping us put on stuff. The Price is Printing. They once in a while will run print runs for us. They'll print some flyers or things like that for us. The Durant Trails and Open Space, what a partner they have been. They have come alongside of us with their skills and their organization to do so many things. And one of our biggest partners is the Choctaw Nation. Their Environmental Protection Service, Ty Baker and Tracy Horst, who sits on our board, and their whole crew out there. They have done graphic work for us and provided all kinds of things. I mean, it's just terrific. And it's the Girl Scouts. I could go on. How much time do we have, Joey? We rely on people.
Fine.
We rely on people. Our number one, biggest, most valuable resource is people.
Okay. Well, and I'm curious about those things because that's important. It's, this is something for our community, and I hear questions like that, and I'm sure you do too. When they want to know, well, how's this getting financed? Where's this coming from? And are we paying for it? That's always the good follow-up question there. Right? Am I paying for it? Well, if you want to be a blessing, then that's fine. Sounds like people who do want to be a blessing would have an outlet in you. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, we're a 501c3, nonprofit organization. Anything you give to the Durant Sustainability Coalition is 100% tax deductible, and will be very gratefully received. That's what keeps us alive.
And I would go on to say, and I don't want to speak for Mark, but knowing Mark and Donna and what they do, that your finances would be used well and wisely. And you mentioned frugally, but I think there's wisdom in that. You make something go as far as it can. So I appreciate that, Mark, about what you all do. Well, really quickly to wrap up our time, then you talked about Earth Day because that is the next big thing that is coming up, and it is coming up within days. Again, April 26th. That is this coming Saturday, 10 a.m., Carl Albert Park in Durant. What's coming up after that? I mean, things to follow, anything big on the horizon that you want to promote really quickly?
Well, the only thing that we have set in stone right now is the How to Grow a Sustainable Park, which is in May, and then our bike rodeo in the fall, which we don't even have a date for yet. But what we do and how we've been working is we work with our coalition partners. The next really giant thing we're going to tackle is the 5th and 6th Street corridor. So back in 2017, the Durant Trails and Open Space group, along with the city, they put together a master trails plan for the entire city. The number one project to get done on that master trail plan is the 5th and 6th Street corridor, which will connect the university to the downtown with a pedestrian and bike-friendly corridor. And along the way, we will connect to 2 city parks, 2 city schools, and the Boys and Girls Club. So all of those functions or those places in our community will be connected with a safe, walkable, bikeable corridor. and we are super excited about that. We've already been, we worked on this last year with the city council. Actually, unanimously agreed to apply for a grant. Back to the grants, to apply for a grant from ODOT for a transportation alternative program. Unfortunately, there were some miscommunications amongst different parties to that whole transaction or that whole program. So we didn't actually hit the deadline, and that program is not funded right now. But we are ready. We are ready, and we know when you make a good case and you have a good project and you apply for a grant, you have a very good chance of getting that grant. So that's our game plan. That's our next big project, and that's going to happen. I guarantee you, it's going to happen one way or another. Just like the Choctaw Bridge happened, we're going to make it happen.
Absolutely. Okay. Where do people go to find information about you and about what's going on? There's a Facebook page, or what kind of social media or website do you have?
Our Facebook page is our best place. That's the Durant Sustainability Coalition, easy to find. If you want to contact us, if you're interested in engaging with the Durant Sustainability Coalition, drop us an email. You can send an email to info@dscinc.org. So
Right.
dscinc.org. We monitor it. We usually, check it once a day or so. None of us are paid. We're all volunteers, and so we don't have an admin, watching our email, but we do check it frequently. And if you drop us a line, we'll get right back to you. And we need all the help we can get. So we welcome any kind of help you're willing to give.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you for taking time with us here on a Tuesday night as the sun's come out. I think it may go behind the clouds again later this week, but hopefully on Saturday, it is a big, bright, beautiful day for you, and that you guys have a great one.
We are praying for good weather on Saturday. I think it's going to be nice. I think it's going to be really nice. It's going to be extraordinary.
All right. Keep that in mind. Earth Day this Saturday, Carl Albert Park, Durant Sustainability Coalition. Mark Mesiti-Miler, thank you so much, sir, for taking time with us today, and I'll let you get back to all the things that you're doing this week to get ready for it.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you. Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to let Mark go, and we'll get to hang around for just a little bit longer here on a Tuesday night. Thanks for watching BCP Live. It was nice to get to visit with Mark tonight, and I appreciate the Durant Sustainability Coalition. I've been watching what they've been doing for a while now. Again, I guess that's been about 3 years. I think that's when I met Mark, was 3 years ago. Just fantastic person. He and Donna are great people, and I cannot say enough good about them and for what they for who they are. First, that's always the important thing, but for what they do for the community as well. And I think there's a lot going on in that. Listen, it is a great week. I think I didn't talk about Easter enough last Tuesday. And I'll mention that again at the very end. Let me just say, out and about tonight, actually took some time tonight, went over and watched Southeastern Rodeo practice a little bit tonight. And the women's team, if you're familiar with Southeastern Rodeo, the women's team has already finished second in the Central Plains region standings. So that means a trip to the national finals in Wyoming. So that's a big deal. The men still have an opportunity to finish first in the Central Plains region. So that is really cool. And of course, with that, the opportunities to travel to Wyoming and compete in the college national finals rodeo. So Southeastern, a perennial spot in that competition, and it looks to be something big. So props to the Southeastern Rodeo, and it gives me an opportunity then to segue to say, hey, listen, the Durant Pro Rodeo is coming to town, and it is just more than a month away. So if you don't already have that down on your calendar to take part in that, it goes on concurrent with Magnolia Festival. Magnolia Festival will start on the Wednesday, I believe. Big stuff going on Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday. Then that same Friday and Saturday, which is the 29th and 30th of the month of May, then that's when the rodeo will take place. So keep that in mind. That is a big deal. One other thing, too, that is of interest here, I found this out. I had never heard of a facility like this before, and I found out recently that we actually do have one in Bryan County now, too. A pet crematory a pet crematory. I had met someone who had one in Texas, not too far to the south of the river, not something I had heard of before. And I thought, you know what, that's a really useful thing to have. Turns out we do have one in Durant now, and it's actually sponsored by Gordon Funeral Home. It is called the Eternal Friends Pet Crematory. I have the brochure right here in front of you. I want to make sure I said that properly. So if you have any interest in that, you have a need. It's a frustrating time because your pets are part of the family. I understand that. Right now, in the Patriot household, there are like 8 animals that call this place home. Now, 2 of them belong to my oldest daughter, and we're just kind of taking care for a little while. But still, there are 8 of them. We wouldn't want to lose any one of them, and so you want to, you want to take care though when the time is done. And so, a pet crematory here in town, established in 2025. If you need more information about that, you can contact them. That again is Eternal Friends Pet Crematory, 580-745-8008. That is not a paid promotion, by the way. That is actually just something that I thought, it was important to send that out. And that's part of what we do with the Bryan County Patriot. If you see our videos where we go around the county and we stop in different places and highlight businesses or organizations, that's just a part of what we do. We want to sow into Bryan County. We want to do something good for you. So that was something interesting that I just recently found out about. Thought I'd pass it along to you if you need a pet crematory. There is one here in Bryan County, and I think it's the only one in this area, whatever size area you think an area makes up. I think it's the only one here. So there is that. Also, from a sports take, the Southeastern softball team officially clinched a spot in the Great American Conference tournament, which is next week in Bentonville, Arkansas. So props to the softball team. Baseball team still fighting for an opportunity to play in the Great American Conference baseball postseason tournament. So we'll try to keep you posted on that. By next Tuesday, we'll know a little bit more about how all of that is going to play out, as this is the final regular season week for softball and baseball for Southeastern. If you follow these 2 teams, great programs, and I know that you'll appreciate that. The baseball team improving from last year, softball team continuing to play at a high level, and so both representing our area and Bryan County, I believe, very well. One last thing as we wrap it up here and try to get things done right in a half hour tonight. I did mention Easter briefly. I should have talked about Easter a little bit more last week. There are so many different days involved, and I know a lot of our local churches will honor and have services for different days. Maybe your church had a service for a Maundy, Thursday, or for a Good Friday. Very likely, obviously, for Palm Sunday and for Resurrection Sunday, this past Sunday, I got rained on. In my Easter clothes. I'm telling you, I got dumped on in my Easter clothes, but it's part of it. I had to go outside for just a little bit. Anyway, this is a very important time of year, and I hope that I didn't breeze past it too quickly last week, because Christmas is a very, very big time of year. We love Christmas in this household, but you know what? Christmas is great, but you got to have Easter too. And praise God for a Resurrection Sunday. So I definitely didn't want to go without taking some time to say, listen, Easter week is very, very important. And there are a lot of folks who are coming off of Lent now that are, maybe watching social media again or doing something like that. So whatever your thing was on Lent, I know this is probably a time you're like, wow, I made it for 40 days without doing whatever it was that you didn't do. Props to you for that. Good job. All right, we wrap it up here. Thanks again to Mark Mesiti-Miler for being with us on Bryan County Patriot on BCP Live on this Tuesday night. And we continue to bring you news and commentary for Bryan County, Oklahoma, and around the entire Texoma area. I will wrap it up, as always, by giving you these 3 words of encouragement. And that is, those are these, that first, be wise. Wisdom doesn't come from age. Experience, you can get experience with age. You can be wise as you get older, but wisdom doesn't come from age. Age doesn't make you wise. Age makes you old. Wisdom comes from God. And if you feel like that you don't have enough wisdom, he said, just ask and I'll give it to you. Secondly, walk in love. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but it is always the best thing to do. So I encourage you to walk in love. And finally, do not walk in fear. It is a time where if you have an opportunity, if you want to listen to the national media, they're going to give you something to be afraid of just about every single day. And I encourage you, don't buy into that. Doesn't mean that you don't need to have respect for certain situations in life. Okay. I don't walk out into busy traffic. I respect the situation, but I'm not afraid of the traffic. I'm not scared of cars. I have a respect for a situation. All right. So do not walk in fear. Be wise, walk in love. Do not walk in fear. Thank you very much for watching the BCP Live on this Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. We'll see you again next Tuesday night. God bless you and have a great, great night.